kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa
My hitters gon' die, don't die, and real hitters gon' shine, and my people gon' line. Cause we're born to win, yeah. I ain't saying
how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the 3rd grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know that Zimbabwean grade. So they do shades and your boy hit the stage, press play, and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips. Yeah. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. We have a wonderful Wednesday for y'all. You can see a little bit right there. Black Star Power. We could put that back up in the building today. I'm so excited for my guests and for you guys to hear more about their stories. We got Marc Handsome in the building. He is here, a Vamp Life Recording Artist, live in the studio with me today. I'm so excited to dive into his journey, what got him started, and how he's continuing his musical journey now at Vamp Life. So you guys, it's going to be great to talk to him later on in the show. I am so excited because Janae Bridges is going to be joining us, y'all. Janae is a Grammy award-winning recording artist and mezzo-soprano. She has done so much live music. She has done recording. She has done the gambit, and she's from right here in Lakewood, Washington. So I'm so excited that I'll get to talk to her about her journey and what it means for her to be starring in Seattle Opera's Sampson and Delilah. Y'all, only 2 days to pick up the tickets for this amazing show, but I'm so grateful that she will also be joining us today. So when I tell you it is, if it was a Monday, it would be a musical Monday, but it is a musical Wednesday, musical, wonderful Wednesday today with these two amazing artists in the building. So of course I gotta, get right to it after this, because I have also some amazing recaps that we just did on Monday, celebrating Dr. King. And of course, for us in King County, the only King County in the nation, it means the world for us to be able to come together on this day. And so we have some great recaps that we'll be sharing with y'all. But of course, it's the top of the show, everyone. So it is a perfect time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead, tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. If you can't watch us, you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. You can find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever is your favorite platform. You name it. Now I'm going to start throwing in Apple Music because like that, I'm saying iTunes, but now they're saying Apple Music. So I'm going to just switch it up, make sure y'all know what I'm talking about. But we're on over 200 plus platforms. If you love it, a platform, I'm sure you can find us on there. So just search Converge Media and the Day with Trae. Y'all will find me there. Shout out to everybody who is tagging and sharing the stream and who is sharing the podcast. We appreciate y'all so much, especially when we know we're bringing world-class artists and world-class guests right here to the show. It's important that we really uplift and amplify all the great work that they're doing. And y'all help to do that by sharing the stream. Well, I want to talk a bit about Martin Luther King Day, because on Monday it was jam-packed at Garfield, and it was so great to see so many people out there marching for what Dr. King stood for, what his legacy is all about. I'm so glad that Converge Media was on the scene. Check out this video that we put together for y'all.
Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up this mountain. And I've looked over over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
We as a people will get to the promised land. Absolutely, Dr. King. We are continuing in that very mission here in Seattle and beyond. It's so beautiful to know that, we are celebrating your legacy, Dr. King, as one of the longest ran celebrations in the nation. That is happening right here in Seattle, Washington, because we stay committed, not just because we are King County, and not just because we also have a Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in our area, but because we understand the importance of the work and we cannot take our foot off the gas. We still have yet to recognize equity in so many different measures. Take a look at how we were able to be on the scene with some amazing photography. Shout out to our whole team who was there. You guys can see that people care so much about this, that it was young and old out there at the march. It was beautiful because there were so many people who they say this is the time where they come together and they bring their grandbabies, they bring their sisters and brothers, they bring their people out to this event because they know that it's important for us to do this as families. And it's one of the opportunities that we have to do what? See ourselves as a part of the solution. Y'all knew I was going there. Of course, that's the message I was bringing last week on Friday, was for y'all to be engaged, be involved. There were so many different MLK celebrations happening, and it was great to see that thousands of people showed up, not just for the workshops at Garfield, but also the rally and, of course, the march. And then we ended at Jimi Hendrix Park. Right here, you guys can see we had some amazing speakers on that stage. We had folks bringing phenomenal messaging to keep this legacy alive and well. And it was also an opportunity for a lot of people in community to get engaged with the great work that's happening on the ground. Oftentimes, you have to be literally a part of these organizations to know exactly what's going on. But I love the opportunities that are presented throughout our community of people being able to pull events like this together and shine a light on all of the amazing work that's happening so you can get engaged, so you can be involved. That's the importance of all of this. And we understand Dr. King stood for so many of us. Now it's our time. It's our part. It's our time to do our part in that same standing up for what is right. And it's on us, y'all. We all have the ability to do that. So I want y'all to, again, continue to be inspired. Don't wait for MLK Day, next year for you to do something. Figure out how you can get engaged with amazing organizations and institutions that are doing the work in your community. Be a part of your community, not just living there, but also helping to make it a thriving place for all to be there. And, one of the things I'm really excited for is that Washington State always has the opportunity to lead. I say it all the time. We are the only city in the nation called Seattle. And because of that, Seattle in particular has an opportunity to lead. Washington State can really take a note from how the Seattle MLK Organizing Coalition has continued to press for Dr. King's message. So find the way to be engaged, y'all. That was just a little bit of inspiration for y'all on MLK Day, but it's something that you guys can organize and do all throughout the year. So let's not wait until next year to be engaged in our community. Well, after this short break, I'm really excited. I get to sit down in the studio, in the Black Media Matters studios with Marc Handsome. He's going to be telling me all about his musical journey, his beginnings, and where he is now as a Vamp Life recording artist. Stay tuned right after this short break, y'all. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Pacific Northwest Ballet unveils Giselle, ballet's classic tale of romance, betrayal, and immortal love. The New York Times calls it a triumph, comparable to an epic film, this stunning production is touched by magic. Order tickets now at pnb.org.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon. Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now in the Black Media Matter studios is Marc Handsome. What's up, Marc?
What's popping?
Hey, I'm excited because, you're the first Vamp Life Recording Artist I've been able to sit down with. And I really want to talk to you about your beginnings. I've talked to many artists, and there's always something so unique and special about what got you into music. Tell us a bit about that for you.
Well, first of all, I didn't start off with dreams of being an entertainer like most people. Everybody's stories. I pick up the mic at 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't my story. I initially was a person who was moving through corporate America with a different passion. My passion was for the youth, troubled youth or whatever. And I excelled in that, went to school and did the things that I needed to do to be productive in that business. However, being a South Central native, and we go through the things with the police and attacking young Black males and things like that, I got put in positions where things happened that affected my record. And at the time, for me, with that affecting my record and messing with my money that I had put myself in position to be able to obtain, not making grocery store money or things like that, but actually making something that was making a difference for myself and my family. It ruined that. So the blessing of us having Black entertainment is finding out that Black entertainment will pay you to match the value of who you are. So with things being stripped from me in corporate America, I fell back to think like, where could I get the pay rate on who I am? What matches my hustle, what matches my drive. And that's what led me to entertainment.
Yeah.
You heard?
Well, it's one of those things where it always is going to take a huge amount of dedication and motivation. And we've heard that from famous artists, particularly in the music business, because, nowadays that attention span of the fans is not as long as it used to be. So you always have to be putting out new music and really be dedicated to the craft. How do you utilize your motivation to stay dedicated to your craft as you create new music?
Well, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? So I wake up every day feeling great about myself, great about what I'm doing, and being intuitive with me. When you love yourself and you love what you do, that come out in your music. And if you feel it, everybody else gonna feel it, because people know when it's not real. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the determination in your own hustle is what continues to have you have the motivation to keep going. So I'm inspired, period. Then I came from a home where I had a mother that told me I could be great at whatever I wanted to, and I believed that. You know what I'm saying? So I wake up feeling like I could do whatever I want to do anyways, because I just feel like it's there for the reach. You know what I'm saying? So I'm inspired, period, on whatever journey that I put myself to. I'm gonna be inspired regardless, because I feel like I can obtain it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Well, you talked about being from South Central, and it's interesting because we know like background means a lot in terms of like the lyrics you write, the way that the genre you get into. I mean, the inspiration behind a lot of your music. Tell us a bit about that. How your upbringing is maybe influenced you as an artist, how it influenced you, and then how it shows up in your music, in your craft.
Well, I kind of took a different route from the environment and being a product of the environment. You know, as we know South Central LA has a lot of street politics. You know what I'm saying? And if you made it past 21, you did great. You know, but what I took from the situation was to show the people in my environment that we could elevate out of that. So what I did with my music was always talked about where I was headed, where I was going, what's possible, what I'm doing, and showing them that I'm doing stuff outside of where they say we can't do it. You heard? So most of my projects, I made sure that it wasn't in the community, but where we thought we couldn't go. So I did my videos in Beverly Hills, did my videos in Calabasas. I went everywhere to show everybody that we ain't gotta just do this. So my music is always to show them an example of elevating. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really great perspective. And it sounds like a niche too, because, I mean, people talk about the glitz and glam of, the music business, and we know it's a grind, and so at the end of the day, it's great that you had that idea to be like, look, I'm going to do something that's going to help folks really see not only can you come from South Central LA and be in these spaces and be comfortable here, but that you can actually like take it to another level. So that's important.
Right, because I'm gonna always be true to where I came from. I know everybody that was in the surrounding areas. J Rock was up the street from me. Glasses Malone was up the street from me. Problem was up the street from me. You know what I mean? So we all know where we come from, and that's gonna always be something that stay true to the heart. But what are you trying to do? You know what I mean? Especially if you coming up and you may have a child or a two or three or whatever the situation is, you want to be an example. So my goal was always to be an example, period. You know what I mean? Like I was a dreamer. So I wanted to show people that it was okay to dream if you're gonna fulfill it though. You know what I mean? So I'm one of them that if I say it, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna beat myself up till it happen, or I'm gonna figure it out, or I'm gonna call somebody who gonna lead me to the water. But at the end of the day, the result is like it happened. You know what I'm saying? So that was what my vision was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a little harder though, because when you come up in that area where everybody wants you to stick to the script, you know what I mean? Because you judged in my area, you judged off of how rooted you are into what our situation is. So when you kind of step out the situation, some people like, man, is he keeping it real? Is he, you know what I mean? So it even take a lot of integrity to just stick to what you believe in, because sometimes the people might not move with it because you ain't staying down mentally where they at. So you got to be encouraged enough yourself to feel like I'm gonna do my own wave. I'm still true to this, but I'm gonna do my own wave, and y'all gonna have to catch up later. But it's gonna happen. You heard? So that was a challenge for me. You know.
Yeah. I can imagine so, because as you step out of kind of maybe the status quo way of doing something, it takes time for people to adjust to where you're going with it, right? So, I love hearing you say that.
But the thing about it is, when they finally adjust to it, you ain't never sold out.
That's right.
So when they really adjust to it, you won the people off of truly being who you are. And if you being who you are, that's you can do that the best. You ain't never gotta. I can't act like Tupac for this amount. If I stay like Marc Handsome, then I'm gonna be natural. So I'm never gonna lose that wave because I'm really just going in the booth being me. My stories is me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't fronting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's important. And especially when you think about people who really know you, right? Before you became a recording artist, it's like, you got family, you got people who know you who are gonna be like, yo, like, don't switch it up on us, right? And I think that that's really important too, to bring folks along with you. How does your family resonate with, you moving through the music business and growing your brand and growing your fandom? Tell us a bit about that, how your family is really responding to you as an artist.
You know, the Bible say adversity start in the home, meaning the family. And a lot of family show excitement and a lot don't. You know what I mean? And again, you got to stay encouraged. They say a person that's a stranger will come love you more and support you more. And that's what we have to learn as entrepreneurs, artists, hosts, actors, or whatever, because a lot of people sit and envy it happening for you and not them. But those same people could ride the wave with you, because the more successful you become, it gives you the opportunity to bless other people. And naturally, that's the type of cat I am anyways. You know what I mean? So, I got 50% who show the love, but then I got 50% that don't. And that used to bother me for a while until, I had to understand what it is.
Yeah. I think it's always an adjustment. I've experienced that myself. You're so right to call it out with what I do. I think anything that's public facing like that, some of that scrutiny comes along with it, right? It's like, oh, well, you could have said this, or you need to talk about this. I've heard that too. And, you're so right about, as long as you're true to you, that is the beacon, right? That's the beacon that I move through all the time. And I say it often in community that we have to be authentically ourselves.
Right.
Because you're right, we can't be nobody else. And ultimately, if I want anybody that's watching me right out there right now to really know who I am, I got to stay true to me always. And it's also going to be a foundation for how I build real relationships with folks. When they do see me outside of this environment, right, it's got to be the same level. So I totally respect that. And I agree 100%. When you think about the grind, right? Tell us a bit about that. How did you really start like making music and get to a place where, now you are on the Vamp Life, in the Vamp Life family? Just tell us a bit about that transition.
Once my first record, the first record that took off for me, and I was able to feel that love, hear those radio spins, be in the car and hear the record come on, hear the people in the town playing it, and I'm moving and I'm touring. I think it was like once the first record hit for me, that was like, oh, I like this feeling. You know what I'm saying? I can't stop. And actually seeing how it turned into multiple relationships, multiple people you meet, other extensions to you, to be able to move into other things and walks of life. Them experiences alone as an entrepreneur is very motivating to experience, versus walking into a building every day and you see the same 20 people in your staff. It was the drive for that. It was a drive on going to the high school tours and seeing the joy the kids had to see you show up. You know what I mean? And things like that. So once you for me, it was like once I felt that start of success, it was like, yo, it's kind of like, do you watch Rick Ross? Because Rick Ross do a lot of motivational things.
Right.
And he was talking about when he got that mansion and how he didn't spend his first check from Jay-Z because he was thinking about, if it didn't happen, having to turn that house back in. He was like, whoa. So my thing was like, dang, I felt this right now. It didn't pop like this. how can I show them that I can't keep it up?
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do that and let the people see me fail, but I couldn't let myself go through that. So that motivation was there. Like I can't let it happen. You know what I'm saying? The thought of that is like, oh, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so clearly you had a whole wave of, motivation and dedication to make it happen. And at what point did Vamp Life like connect with you and say, yo, like we see what you're doing? How did that work for you?
So, when I created the Marc Handsome brand, it was right when the pandemic happened, right? When radio wasn't caring what was going on with an artist or nothing like that. All of us was like COVID. Like, nobody knew what that was. And here I was, I created a brand. I did that Real Love record with Amada La Negra. And I pushed that the first year of the pandemic being at its height. I put that record out and traveled on the planes while people wasn't trying to do it. So I made it pop during the time where everybody was sitting down. And I was like, let me get it going. So once I did that record and it did some numbers, I had a new record that I was working on and I wanted to get Jim on it. And I had a relationship with Jim some years back that I had, but we hadn't talked in about a good 8 years or something like that. So I reached out to my homegirl, Raquel Harper from TMZ. And I'm like, you got a line on Jimmy? She like, yeah. So she reached out to Jimmy, and coincidentally, he was landing in Cali the next day. So he's like, word, pull up on me. So I pulled up on him and played the record for him. He was like, let's do it. So we got it popping. And I pushed the record by myself for about 5 months. And some things happened with it to where he was like, let's get the video done, bro. So once he said that, I flew out to New York. They put the camera crew around me. They situated it so the visual could be dope. They wanted me to come and have a real New York experience. So not just have a New York artist on it, but they wanted me to have the real experience of New York. So I went there. They laid it out for me. We made it pop. And as I was leaving there, the Vamp Life situation was offered to me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
See, this right here is a real, I love being able to tell the background story because oftentimes people have a misnomer about what it takes to make it in any industry, but particularly when you're doing something that involves, any form of celebrityism at all, right? It's like you were like, look, I had to pull my connections, make some calls to get connected with Jim Jones, to have him on the record, to then even have the opportunity for them to be like, yo, come work with us at Vamp Life. Like that right there is a real testament to you believing in yourself and putting yourself forward. Now, I know people can check out your music in a lot of different ways, but Marc, this is just, we could probably talk all day. This has just really been a pleasure to hear the background story, because for me, it's always about how do we elevate your story so that others can be inspired by it. I got to give you a second though to look right there. Let folks know, because I know you got music out. Music is hot. Let them know right there how they can connect with Marc Handsome and your brand and all the music you're going to be having coming out.
It's simple. You can connect with me on all platforms. Like she said earlier, whatever is your choice of platform to go to, I'm on every platform under Marc Handsome.
Just like that. Marc, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. And thank you for being dedicated so we can all get to hear your dope music. I was listening to it on the way in. I'm becoming a fan, Marc. You got me for sure. Thank you so much for being with me today.
All right. Much love.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you guys. I know we're going over, but of course I am so excited. Janae Bridges is in the building. We're going to be talking to her about her amazing journey into music. And I'm telling you, I am a fan. So I'm excited to be joining with her, sitting with her right here in the Black Media Matter studios right after this short break. You don't want to miss this, y'all. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here, and before heading to Belize, Trae Holiday and I had to make sure we linked up with our good friends over at Market Street Shoes to, of course, grab a few things for the trip. From bags to socks, shoes, sunglasses, earrings, and more. Before going on any trip, make sure you stop at Market Street Shoes. Trust me, you'll find just what you need to make your trip not only enjoyable, but fashionable.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon. Welcome back, everybody, to the Day with Trae. Lots of activity going on, and it's a lot of excitement right here in the Black Media Matter studios because Janae Bridges is in the building. Hi, Janae.
Hello, Trae.
How are you?
I'm so happy to be here in the building.
You know, let me just tell you this. Like, so many folks in community are like, oh my gosh, I've not even been to Seattle Opera, but I'm going because Janae is coming home. Janae is making her debut at Seattle Opera. This is so exciting. I want to start at the beginning because, you know, interviewing opera singers, everybody has a unique way that they got into it. And you clearly knew you had a voice, but just tell us a bit about that journey for you musically from the beginning.
Sure. So I'm from Lakewood, Washington, Lakewood representing. And I started singing in the church choir about age 5 or something like that. So voice has always been in my world. My father is actually in the male choir, the Sons of Thunder at Allen AME Church. And so I grew up in the church singing in the choir. And I also grew up playing the piano from about age 3. So music has always been in my life, but I didn't actually grow up listening to opera. It's not often that you find a Black household that does. Not that there aren't any, but we just didn't in mine. And so fast forward, I studied piano. I sang in the middle school choir. I joined the choir in high school. And then my teacher said, you have a natural gift. Maybe you want to start studying privately. And so I said, well, I'm super busy, but okay. So I added that to my extracurricular activities, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love, and quickly, I'll just say that I played basketball too. So I had a conflict where my basketball coach said, you can play the game, you can be on the team and do the choir thing as long as you make all of your practices. So I said, okay. So there was one very traumatic and dramatic moment where I had a basketball game and a choir rehearsal at the same day. So my coach said, fine, as long as you get here in time to warm up, So I finished the rehearsal. My mom drove me up about 2 hours north for the game. It was a very important game. I got there and he sat me on the bench. And I said, excuse me, I need to warm up. What's going on? And the game started. 1 quarter went by, 2 quarters went by. And he refused to play me because he called himself teaching me a lesson in that I wasn't there for my team. And so that was actually the last day of my competitive sports career. And then I just completely shifted like all of my focus, and I really concentrated on singing. And I auditioned for conservatories all across the country. I ended up going to Manhattan School of Music in New York, a little old girl from Tacoma, Lakewood, Washington, and the rest is kind of history.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
You know, I'm going to tell you, there is something so specific about being a high schooler and having all of these different competing things. I too experience levels of that. And so I really appreciate you sharing that story and taking us on that journey. But when you think about, all of the different ways, so once you do a conservatory, once you start getting involved, tell us a bit about the next steps it took for you to actually first get on that stage, because opera is world renowned and you are world renowned. I mean, Grammy Award winning, congratulations. You have put the work in. But we also know that that's a real journey too in and of itself. Just tell us a bit about that, because the beginnings, kind of lead you to where you are today.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, like you said earlier, everybody's path and journey is different. But my path, I went to conservatory for 4 years, 7 years, 4 years for my undergraduate. And then I went to Philadelphia at the Curtis Institute of Music for 3 years to get my graduate degree, Master's of Music. And then after that, I did 3 years at the Lyric Opera of Chicago at a young artist program, which is basically an internship, a paid internship where I get to shadow the stars and sing smaller roles on the big stage and really be in collaboration with the professional world. So I like to say that I studied for about 10 years. It's really intense, concentrated, focused study on the voice and performance. And in that, when I was in Chicago, we auditioned. We sang for different opera houses, different companies, managers. And so I will never forget the day when they said Columbia Artist Management is coming to hear you. And I kind of made up in my mind before that I was going to be with Columbia, because so many of the greats that I admired, Kathleen Battle, Jesse Norman, so many of them were with Columbia Artists. And I said, I want to follow in their footsteps. And so I walked into that audition and I just nailed it. And my manager signed me on the spot. And then I started getting jobs in smaller opera houses. So singing bigger roles in smaller houses and smaller roles in bigger houses, just to kind of get used to this feeling. And also I was doing a lot of international competitions, which for opera singers, I mean, it's such a long journey. The voice develops until you're 50 and 60 years old. So it's a constant evolvement and journey. Your voice is always changing and the practice never stops. So the competitions that I did really put me on the map as well. I didn't always win them, but it was just such a great way to say, hey, I'm here. And a lot of companies have hired me, or they remembered me and they hired me later. And it really just kind of put me on the scene.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, everyone's journey is different, but mine has been slowly kind of ascending. And of course, the pandemic put a halt to everything.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful because I still had my voice, and so I was still working on my voice, and now I sing all over the world. And it's kind of surreal that I'm back home in Seattle making my debut in this role of Delilah.
Yeah. And it's such a well-known story, right?
Yes.
So I think so many people are excited because one of the things I was talking to Josh about, Josh knows, is classic stories that we know, then we're able to follow them more closely. There's, I have just really become a fan of opera in the last year.
Awesome.
And it's really a true example of some of the output or, the end result of my relationship with Seattle Opera. Just being exposed to it, first off, I think is so important, particularly in Black communities, because as you said, there's not a lot of exposure to it. And it started for me with the opera Blue, right? Which is about Black story. It's about Black family. And it was great for me to kind of start there and then to go to some of the classics so that I could have this foundation of, first off, the slow nature of storytelling in opera, which I talked to Josh about. This is, it's so real, right? And I know you've experienced this because you could be in a scene trying to explain just something, one thing, and it's like, 30 minutes.
We're still here.
The notes are carrying on. There's something so special about storytelling through music and through the way that opera is sang. I want to hear your perspective on that, because as someone who's done now many operas worldwide, you probably have a very unique perspective about that kind of slow nature of storytelling in opera.
Absolutely, I do. You've brought up so many amazing points. So I've sung operas from 30 minutes to 5 hours. Yeah. And sometimes, like Wagner, Richard Wagner is a composer. His operas tend to be really long, but the music, it really carries you through in a way that if you're there and you're present, it kind of doesn't feel long, right? So for me, it has taken a little bit of getting used to with those long operas, but as a performer, when I'm so focused on every note and every phrase and in the end, what I'm saying and what I want it to deliver, it also goes by. But it's kind of like a long race. You really have to pace yourself emotionally and vocally, because it really is kind of like an athletic game, So it's like, I really like to liken it to how I used to play basketball. You had to pace, so that when that fourth quarter comes, you have some more juice to give.
Yeah. I can totally see that. And not only that, but I mean, the set design, the costumes in opera, all of this plays such a heavy impact in the storytelling. As you have gone on this journey, tell us about some of the top moments for you, now that you have so many amazing characters under your belt. I would love to hear just maybe some of the top moments. Maybe it's the top costume or the top set. Tell us, something that you really sticks out.
Yeah, well, one that really sticks out was my Metropolitan Opera debut in New York, where I sang Queen Nefertiti in a production called Akhenaten by Philip Glass. And this, actually, PBS played it a few times. It is such a spectacle. We have jugglers. The costumes are so ornate. And I'm playing an African queen. So I got to wear the head crown. And I honestly just felt that I wasn't acting in that moment. I was stepping into who I am and who I come from. And so this is a production and a role that just is so close to me, and it goes down in history, really. And of course, at the Metropolitan Opera, one of the greatest houses in the world, it was, and where I studied in New York, it was really, I couldn't have imagined a better way to enter that scene there. And then another one was this past summer in Verona, Italy. I sang at the Arena di Verona, which is the largest outdoor arena in the world. It seats 22,000, I think. And it's unamplified. So we didn't, as opera singers, we're not amplified. We don't use microphones. So at first I was like, I don't know about this. But the acoustics, it's just made for the voice. So that was a really, really surreal moment, me going to Italy, being the only Black person really there that I noticed besides my family coming in to see, and just stepping onto this stage where so much history has gone down, and also so many, particularly African-American women have also graced the stage and broke so many boundaries with their voice and their instrument and the storytelling. it was really emotional. It was really,
You know, I can imagine. I mean, I've really just had the pleasure of being able to sit with Black opera singers in the last year.
Wow.
And my mind has been blown by not only the talent, but the amazing ways that every one of you is utilizing your gift to break barriers as well. And so I want to talk to you a bit about that, because as a young Black woman in this world, I can imagine that you really are setting a tone now across the world for, you know, Black excellence. And you talked a little bit about some of your influences earlier, but of course there's a legacy of that, right? But oftentimes it is just the one of you that is really there in any given moment. But tell us a bit about how those influences from some of those who have inspired you allow you to now stand in that same legacy and break the barriers you need now for the next person, the next few folks, right? Whoever they may be coming after you.
Wow. Well, like you said, there have been so many incredible Black, specifically African American opera singers. I mean, it's a whole lineage, and every time I step on stage, I honor one of them, at least one of them, and I really try to channel Jessie Norman, who was a mentor of mine, and I sang at her funeral. And I've interviewed actually a couple of older Black opera singers, and it's so interesting because they couldn't necessarily speak to you how I am today. And so with that knowledge, I take this gift that I have and this moment in time to not only inspire people, with my voice, but to speak on injustices and equity and inclusion, and just how beautiful we are as a people. And one day, hopefully, this conversation doesn't actually have to happen. But for now, I just feel like I am standing on so many tall shoulders, and I literally feel them carrying me through because, like you said, as an African American woman in this world, we're faced with challenges that no one will really ever understand. So I take that and I don't let it hinder me. I let it empower me. And again, I think of my ancestors and what they went through. But they kept going, they kept singing, they kept inspiring, and they put their blinders on as much as they could. Some days are hard. But at the end of the day, I have to realize that I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. That's right. And this gift that I have has opened up so many minds and hearts. And I always say, I don't actually walk in the room saying I'm a Black woman, and this might be controversial, but I don't walk in the room saying I'm a Black woman, I'm here to prove myself. Like, they might see a Black woman, and I know that I'm a Black woman and I'm proud, but I feel like if I were to walk in and say the Black woman is here, that kind of perpetuates otherism already, And if anything, yes, you see that I'm a Black woman and know that I'm beautiful and powerful, but don't attach any stigmas onto that. Yeah. So when I am faced with any ignorance or, just trials, I handle it in a way that is like, racism isn't my problem, like, it's the racist issue. And so I do my job. And, if I am faced with something that I have to attend to, then I will in an appropriate way. But 9 times out of 10, my approach to my life as a Black woman is to not apologize. Right. Ever, and I find that approach for me has really helped with my mental health, emotional health, because I don't take on anybody's problems.
Yeah, I love that. I think many of us find ways to navigate it in ways
Yeah,
that
we
really
have
feel
to.
safe for us. And I
Mhm.
hear you saying that, and I appreciate you saying that. When you think about family, I got to ask this because you talked about, family coming out to see you in Italy, and your mother, Miss
Oh,
Pam Bridges.
you know my mom?
Of
Oh
course
my
I
goodness.
do. I run critical conversations with Dr.
Yes.
Mims. And so I'm close with Dr. Mims, and your mother is such a beacon of pride
She is.
about everything that you do. So I got to ask, how it feels for your family to be so proud of everything you do. I mean, your mom was like, look, telling all the Black folks, come to Seattle Opera on the 20th and the 22nd.
Yeah.
For months, we've been hearing the message. And I was working with Josh. I said, Josh, look, whatever we got to do to get Black folks in the building, we got to support Janae. So there's this whole effort.
Wow, thank you.
I love it. Of people being like, you know what? She's coming home. Seattle Opera debut. We got to show up for her. But your mom has really been leading that charge. And she is, every time that you are doing something, she makes sure that the community is aware of it. I just want to hear how it is for you to know that your family is just so supportive of everything you're doing.
I'm trying not to get emotional here, but I am, because my family doesn't have to be supportive. I have colleagues that have jealous parents, jealous siblings, unsupportive. They think this singing thing is not a real career. And I have just never been faced with that. And I'm so grateful to God and my parents, and especially my mother, because she is literally my number one fan. She knows things about me that I don't even know. She'll go on Google and say, did you know this? And I'm like, I actually didn't. Thank you for that. She's also like my number one publicist. I have publicists, but she's just so loving and attentive and has so much pride. And for me, that is the gift. My parents have poured so much into each and every one of their children. And for me, as one of them, to see their smiles and how proud they are, that's a gift, And so I'm just so grateful, because Seattle Opera, I think, will never have seen an audience like this, mostly because of my mom.
Yeah.
She has been working for months on spreading the word, and she's become such an opera fan, not just when I'm singing. She is like the number one opera mama, and whenever my friends and colleagues come to sing at Seattle Opera, she is there, and it's just really such a blessing, to have parents that are on this journey with me. I try to invite them and include them as much as I can, and they travel all around the world. My siblings do too, when they can. They have their own lives, of course, but I'm really blessed.
It's for me as a community member and doing what I do here, and having a mother like yours who just everything I'm doing, she's just, oh my God, my baby's here, right? And you say to yourself, I'm just so blessed, right? And I resonate with that message of just like not knowing what it's like to not have the support of your family, because they really, I felt that, and I feel it with your mom. So and your dad. So I just gotta say, kudos to them.
Yes,
Lastly,
definitely.
I gotta talk to you about coming home. I mean, this is your Seattle Opera debut. This has got to mean something special for you. As we talk about your mom doing her part to fill that audience, tell us a bit about how this performance as Delilah in Sampson and Delilah is now, a great contribution to your entire career. And you coming home is a big deal for all of us. How's it landing with you?
Yes, it's a huge deal for me. I mean, I've sung around the world on various stages and concert halls, but this feels somehow, coming home to Seattle Opera, it feels, and it is the highlight of my career. I left when I was 18, and people were a bit confused because I didn't really grow up singing classically. So it was just like, this kind of came out of nowhere. So for me, I'm coming home, and I'm sharing with the people that poured so much into me and invested in me. I'm sharing with them what I've been up to, for the last almost 20 years. And it's a gift. Like, it's kind of my gift to my community and my village, saying thank you. this is what you did. You know, I mean, obviously I've done the work, but I had the platform and the grounding to tackle this crazy career. You know, like I feel so made for this career because of where I come from. So it's really emotional, and I just feel so grateful to come back, and particularly this role. It's very demanding vocally, and characterization wise too, emotionally. But everybody, like you said, is familiar. Most people are familiar with the story of Sampson and Delilah. And so it's a great opera to come home to, where people can access it. You know, it's an accessible opera. And the music is just so beautiful. It is so gorgeous. So I just feel like it's the perfect way to come home and say, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you to my village and my city.
Well, I was getting a little bit emotional as you were talking, because I just got to tell you, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for pushing the boundaries and the barriers, showing us what a young girl from Lakewood can do across the world. It is so inspiring, Janae, what you have done and what you're continue to do. And I love knowing that you had great mentors around you, great family, a great village, great love surrounding you. I too really get to experience that village love, that agape love, right? And so grateful to all the folks who helped me be here. But to see you come back and for you to take time to spend, this is why we're going way over, y'all, because I refuse to cut it short. But I love that you were able to take time in your busy schedule. I know you're only here for a few days, and I just appreciate you stopping by here at the Day with Trae to really talk with me. We're two daughters of the community here, really sharing each other's energy. And I'm so appreciative of you. Of course, I got to give you time to look right there. If folks are wanting to follow you and all the great things you're doing all over the place, if they want to come to the show, just let them know right there how they connect with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you. You can follow me on all of the social channels. I'm most active on Instagram, though. You can just type my name, Janae Bridges, or Janae B. Mezzo, the letter B, Mezzo. And then my website, JanaeBridgesMezzo.com.
Wow. Janae, once again, thank you so much for being with me
Thank
today.
you, Trae.
What an honor.
So much love. Thank you.
Oh, you guys, I'm telling you, I told you it was going to be a wonderful Wednesday, and it definitely has been. Of course, I get to wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Pacific Northwest Ballet unveils Giselle, ballet's classic tale of romance, betrayal, and immortal love. The New York Times calls it a triumph, comparable to an epic film. This stunning production is touched by magic. Order tickets now at pnb.org.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon. Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and I'm just so full right now. I want to thank my guest, Marc Handsome, of course, for sharing his inspiring journey and his dedication to his craft that now is allowed him to be a signed recording artist for Vamp Life. It's such a huge deal, and I can't wait to hear more music coming out from Marc. Make sure you guys check in with him. He said Marc Handsome on all platforms. And of course, I got to thank Janae Bridges for being here. You guys can follow up with her, Janae Bridges. You guys can follow up with her website, JanaeBridgesMezzo.com. Be inspired, y'all. I'm so full right now. We talked about this as Black Star Power in the building today, and it was really felt by me because I am telling you, for me, I sit here and I'm talking to folks and I just get so inspired every single day. So y'all know I want y'all to be inspired to do your part. See yourself as a part of the solution. If you have a talent, a skill that you just need to push through, continue to do that. Be dedicated to it so we can all benefit from you giving your blessing to the rest of the world as Marc and Janae are doing. Of course, for me, y'all, until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.